Ladies, gentlemen, boys and girls, Andy here. I built a sex life that I'm really happy with. I've been with my girlfriend, Emmy, for 7 years. We date and sleep with women together, exploring threesomes, BDSM, kink, and all of that beautiful stuff. I also coach men and women on building their own lives of abundance and joy. If we can all do it, you sure as hell can too. A question that I get asked quite a lot and that a lot of you struggle with is, what do I do on dates? What do I say on the date, particularly if I struggle a little bit socially, if I'm a bit awkward, I'm a little bit of an introvert, I'm a bit nervous, how do I still have a good conversation? How do I enjoy the date without feeling terrified, petrified, stuck in my own head, blah, blah, blah? Basically, you're asking me the question, how do I avoid awkwardness? The first thing that I will say is everything I'm about to say, give yourself permission to suck. You do not have to have the perfect conversations. You don't have to be smooth. It's okay if you're nervous. It's okay if it's a little bit awkward. Nothing bad happens if it's awkward, other than the story that you tell yourself in your head of this is awful, it's so awkward, this is so bad. No, it's just a little bit of silence or a little bit of clumsiness. There's nothing wrong with that. You're a human being trying to do your best, and the person you're on the date with is a human being trying to do their best. And so if you give yourself permission to just do the best that you can, you'll have a lot better of a time with all of this. So you don't have to be perfect. And you can kind of think in terms of each date is a learning experience. Whether it's going on dates with the same person, like you meet someone, you go on like 3 dates with them, you're going to get more comfortable with that person with each subsequent date, obviously. Or if you're going on dates with new people each time, you're going to get better at conversation. You're going to get better at being relaxed. You're going to just enjoy the process a little bit more. And so think a little bit more long-term with this stuff. A lot of you are so sort of short-term focused that you're like, I have to do a perfect job with this next date. I can't screw it up. I have this date on Friday. Oh my God, what do I do? Kind of almost give yourself a pass to do a bad job on the date. Yes, go and try. Yes, go and try your best to have a good date. But even if the date goes awful, cool. You can just go on a second date with that person and you'll be a bit more relaxed. Or if the date goes so awfully, and it won't be awful, but if it's so messy and you're so clumsy that the person doesn't want to see you again, cool. You've probably learned a lot. You probably figured out a whole bunch of stuff that you can do a little bit better next time. See it as a training exercise. See it as like, I'm going to be a little bit more long-term focused. And if I just go on a lot of dates with one person or with multiple people, I will get decent at this, but I don't have to be good at each individual date. Just more long-term, I'm eventually going to become decent. So think about improving. And in terms of each individual date, if you're nervous, that's okay. Embrace it. Embrace the fact that you're nervous. It would be weird if you were not nervous at something you haven't really done a lot of. That would be absurd. That would be strange. That would be almost like psychopathic. You are a human being, and the vast majority of human beings get very nervous, very scared, very worried, overthink things that they haven't done before. It's like a fear of the unknown. And so embrace that. Instead of running away from it and hiding it and thinking that you have to like pretend to be confident if you're not, tell the other person, yo, I'll be honest with you, I'm a little bit nervous, but I'm super excited. I can't wait to get to know you. And what will happen is 9 times out of 10, the other person is a bit nervous too. And they'll say, I'm a little bit nervous too. Now you get to bond over that shared feeling rather than living in your own head and thinking, fuck, I have to hide this from them. I hope they don't find out. In terms of what to talk about, I like to ask open-ended questions that can go a little bit deeper. And so you could ask the generic sort of questions of like, what do you do for work? Do you like your job? Blah, blah, blah. But I like to just start off with like crazy, wild questions that the other person has probably never been asked before. And so one of my favorite questions that I'll ask as soon as I sit down with someone, I've just met them, first date, we don't really know each other, I will just blurt out, all right, okay, so what is the meaning of life? And they're like, what? And I'm like, come on, like isn't that why we're here? Didn't we come here to figure out the meaning of life together? And they're like, I thought we were just on a date. And you're like, yeah, we'll have a date. Like we'll talk about the boring shit, but like, come on, let's solve the meaning of life, woman. Like, why are we here? What is existence? Is this all a simulation? What is the meaning of your life? What is the purpose of your life? What is the purpose of mine? Let's figure it out. And people fucking love that question because it disarms them. You just like cut through the nervousness and the expectations that most people have of a first date, that you're just going to ask the boring generic questions. What do you do for work? Do you like it? Have you studied before? Tell me about your family. What countries have you traveled to? Cut through that shit and just ask about the meaning of life. Or you could say, what is something that's like a secret pleasure of yours or a secret hobby of yours? What's something that you're really good at that nobody would have any idea about? Like, tell me a secret. You could say that. Tell me your biggest secret. Tell me any secret. Or if you could be a movie or video game character and like live in a fictional universe, like where would you live? Or if you're a little bit more confident or maybe a little bit more courageous, what's something that's on your sexual bucket list that you've always wanted to try? This is what I always ask on dates, and Emmy asks these questions as well. Any girls that we date together, we're just like, what's on your bucket list? What sex stuff have you wanted to try? What kink stuff have you wanted to try? What's something that you've always thought about but never really brought up with anyone? You can tell us, we're not going to judge. What's on that list? And Emmy and I did a whole video on this with a whole bunch of questions and things that you can ask people on dates. So go check that out if you haven't already. But really just talk about whatever the fuck excites you. Talk about something interesting, rather than the generic questions of like, what do you do for work? Tell me about your childhood. Where do you travel? Where do you want to travel? Blah, blah, blah. Ask some interesting shit. And you'll find that your excitement or your excitement will be a little bit more infectious and the date will go a lot better. But again, you do not have to be perfect with any of this. So rather than focusing on like the date has to go perfect and I have to ask the right questions and I have to do a good job. No, remember that you're there to have fun. Like, why are you even dating in the first place? Probably because you want to be a little bit happier. You're hoping that dating some people, whether that's serious relationships, casual relationships, whatever, you're hoping that dating will make you a little bit happier. So have fun on the date and be fucking happy. You're there to have fun. It's not a job interview. It's not a freaking business thing. You're not interviewing each other. You don't have to have the perfect answers. She or he is not sitting there with a clipboard, like marking every answer that you write with like a tick or a cross. It's not like that. You don't have to jump through all the hoops. Just chill the fuck out. And if you struggle with that, that's okay. But do your best to chill the fuck out. And remember that you're there to have fun. It doesn't have to be a performance. You don't have to be a dancing monkey saying all the right things, keeping up this mask and keeping up this appearance of like the confident, cool person. Chill the fuck out. You're allowed to have fun. If there's any awkward moments or any sort of silence or something like that, you don't have to immediately fill in the gap. It's okay if there's a little bit of silence. Nothing bad happens. It's okay if you don't always know what to say. That's fine. What I like to do is just blurt out the autistic, honest truth and say, I can't think of anything to say right now. Can you think of anything? And then the other person will say, not really. And then you go, okay, cool. Like, I guess we're both two awkward dorks on this date, just trying to do our best. You laugh, she'll laugh or he'll laugh. And then you sort of cut through that nervousness. A lot of the reason that we feel a silence is awkward is because we're sitting there in our own head going, this is awkward, this is awkward, this is awkward, this is awkward. I hope they don't think it's awkward, but they probably do. This is so awful, blah, blah, blah. If you just blurt that out and say, this is kind of awkward, isn't it? Now the other person is on your team. They're not the enemy. They're not the thing or the person that you're scared of now. It's you and them on the same team together, fighting or even just being okay with this nervousness. You don't even have to fight the nervousness or the awkwardness. You can just accept it. And that allows you to have a little bit of space to breathe and sit there and have a good fucking time. Again, the mission of a date is not to fill in every goddamn awkward silence. The mission of the date is to chill and have some fun. Be your authentic self, your authentic, nervous, awkward self. It's okay to be that. I know a lot of you are so fucking terrified and you think that you have to be this smooth James Bond wizard who just knows what to say all the time. If that's so easy, fucking do it then. A lot of you put this pressure on yourself. I have to be this smooth motherfucker. All right, fine, do it then. Go. Do it. Go. It's easy. You keep saying I should be able to do this. I have to do this. Do it then. And what will happen is you show up to the date, you'll try and do it, and you go, wow, this isn't that easy. Yes, so tell the fucking truth. Stop saying I can be this smooth, perfect James Bond by just snapping my fingers and magically being that. No, you fucking can't, because if you could, you would be doing it. So let's align with reality and tell the goddamn truth. And the goddamn truth for a lot of you is, I am nervous. I might be a little awkward. I might be a little bit clumsy. I might not know what to say. Embrace those truths and tell the fucking truth and be a man or a woman of integrity instead of a liar who lies to themselves and says, I can be smooth, I can be perfect. Maybe in some future you can. Brilliant. Work towards that. But how do you get there? With practice, which means you're going to go on a few dates where you're a little awkward. You're a little bit nervous. You don't know what to say. That's how you get there. A lot of you are just thinking I can snap my fingers and suddenly be competent and confident and all of that. Fuck you. You need to earn that. I say that with a smile on my face, but like a lot of you are just saying I get to skip ahead and not put in the work and not put in the effort and not do any of what Andy or anyone else did to learn to be smooth, to learn to be confident and competent and decent on a date. You're thinking you get to just skip ahead in the queue and jump to the front and go, I don't have to put in the work. I don't have to put in the reps. It's like saying I shouldn't have to go to the gym to have a great body. No, you do. Which means you're going to have to go to the gym, fail a bunch of times, learn a bunch of times, make some mistakes, learn from them, evolve, grow, adapt, and all of that. Eventually, you've put in the work and now you have a good body. The same thing with being smooth on dates. You don't just like snap your finger and go, let me skip all the work. No, you're probably going to go on a bunch of dates and suck at it. You can speed that process up. Hopefully my videos help with that. My coaching obviously helps with that, but you're still the one that has to go on the date. Even if you pay me money to be your coach, you still have to go on the date. I can't be there with you, which means you're going to have to sit in that silence. You're going to have to sit there not knowing what to say. You're going to have to take that little leap of faith and be honest and vulnerable and say, I don't know what to say right now. I can't think of anything. Can you? Or I'm a little bit nervous. Are you? How are you feeling? You're going to have to do that, not me. And so at some point, you're going to have to put in the reps, put in the work, and earn that confidence that a lot of you think you can just snap your fingers and have. No, it needs to be earned. So go out and earn it with some crappy dates, some nervous dates, some awkward dates that you'll learn from, you'll grow from, and you'll have a good time if you let yourself have a good time. And again, with all of this, you do not have to be perfect. You are allowed to just improve a little bit with each day. Like again, think a little bit more long-term. Focus on the future. Like if I just go on like 10 dates, I will probably be somewhat comfortable with dates. It could be 5 dates with the same person and then 5 dates with a new person, or 10 dates with one person, or 10 dates with 10 completely different people. It doesn't really matter, but just go and practice. Something else that can really help is practicing your social skills. Like just go outside and start talking to strangers when you walk around. Like talk to the shopkeeper, talk to the person in the shoe store, talk to the person on the street, stop some old lady and ask if you can pat her dog. Just like start talking to people. And you'll find that those social skills absolutely translate to dating. At the end of the day, dating is not some weird performance where you have to do a good job and I'm scared of the other person just because they happen to be the opposite gender of me. No, you are just talking to human beings. For you guys out there, women are just human beings with a pussy. And for you women out there, men are just human beings with a cock and balls. That's it. You're all human beings. Talking or going on dates is just talking to other people. And if you get better at talking to other people by practicing and by sucking at it at the start and just throwing yourself in there and not needing to have the perfect lines, not worrying about what the correct thing to say is, just fucking doing it with some baby steps at the start and then slowly doing more and more, I promise you, I promise you, I promise you, you will get better at dating. A lot of you are coming maybe to my channel, maybe to other channels and saying, what are the cheat codes? Like, how can I just be good at dating? You need to earn it. Every decent dating coach will tell you you are not going to be good at dating until you do a decent amount of it. And so go play the numbers game. Stop looking for the silver bullet. Stop thinking you can jump ahead and skip the queue. You can speed that process up, but you're still at the end of the day going to have to go out there and talk to people that you're interested in. That can be socially, that can be on a date, whatever it is. If you want to get good at being around people and talking to them and dating and all of that, you're going to have to do it. Whatever your goals might be, whether that's money, relationships, sex and dating, fitness, health, friendships, whatever, we are here to help you make those beautiful goals come to life. Ed did it. Taylor did it. Harry did it. None of them are special. If you're listening to this, you know you're capable of more than you're currently giving. You already want something more than what everybody else around you seems to be content with. You want to achieve more, be more, give more to the world. You know it, and I know it. You're destined for something beautiful. Click the link to the coaching in the description below, and let us help you get there. Happiness starts today.